Thank you for taking the time to listen to this brief presentation on suicide awareness and prevention in the Parkway School District. We're here today because mental health problems are common, and they're becoming even more common across the country and in our schools. Young people may experience mental health problems differently than adults do. What we know from the research is that the sooner an individual gets help, the more likely they are to have a positive outcome. Our goal is to help staff recognize signs and symptoms so that we can intervene early. Our goal is not to diagnose students nor provide treatment. Additionally, there are new state laws that ask us to become more aware of this issue and respond to students who are seeking help. Much of the information in this presentation comes from a program called Youth Mental Health First Aid. It is an 8-hour course that can be taken in various places around the community. If this topic is of interest to you, that is another resource for more information. Youth Mental Health First Aid is the help offered to a young person experiencing a mental health challenge, mental disorder, or mental health crisis. The first aid is given until appropriate help is received or the crisis resolves. Mental health first aid does not teach people to diagnose or to provide treatment. What is mental health? Mental health can be positive. It can be us helping kids to understand resilience and learn how to cope. It can also be a mental health concern, crisis, or illness. If a person is suffering from a concern, crisis, or illness mentally, this would affect that person's thinking, their emotional state, and their behavior. This would disrupt the person's ability to work or attend school, to pay attention and engage in classroom activities, to learn, to carry out daily activities, and lastly, it would disrupt their ability to engage in satisfying relationships. We want to be sure to distinguish between what might be typical child development versus changes that are warning signs or symptoms of a larger problem. It is important that we not pathologize what may just be typical child development. Some things are typical and are not warning signs. For example, if we see a change in weight and body shape of a student, it doesn't automatically mean they have an eating disorder. What we are looking for as staff members are a cluster of signs and symptoms. We are also looking at the impact of the change and the severity of the change on the student's life. Some examples of signs and symptoms. Physically, we might see a student have a rapid heartbeat, chest pain, blushing. We might see them breathing fast or being short of breath. They might see a change in hygiene, weight loss, or weight gain. Emotionally, we might see them depressed or have mood swings. We might see them look helpless, have low self-esteem, or be excessively irritable or angry. In their thoughts, we might see self-criticism or self-blame, rigid thinking, odd ideas. We might see them be confused. They might express having thoughts of suicide or death, and they might have difficulty concentrating or remembering things. Behaviorally, we might see them have crying spells. We might see them withdraw from others, loss of motivation, changes in energy levels, rapid speech, showing distress, or obsessive compulsive behaviors. There are risk factors that can increase the probability of a student having a mental health issue, but it does not make the development of a mental health concern inevitable. It just increases the risk. Some things that might put someone more at risk are a traumatic event in their life, difficult or abusive childhood, ongoing stress or anxiety, side effects of various medications, family history and genetics, learned behavior, environmental factors, or having had multiple concussions. Just like there are risk factors, there are also protective factors. Protective factors are environments, supports, and behaviors that act opposite to risk factors. The more protective factors that are present, the better. Some of these include high self-esteem, good problem-solving skills, a consistent home or family routine, family support, regular school attendance, a good social support system, and lastly, feeling close to at least one adult. This last one is something at school that we can help them with. Our role as a school staff member should not be too much or not enough, but should be just right. Some examples of something that would be too much is if you are concerned about a student, trying to handle that concern by yourself. Too much. Too much would also be trying to assess the student to see if they are suicidal. Finally, trying to have counseling sessions with the student, again, to try to help by yourself, would be too much for your role as a school staff member. Not enough. If we see signs that are present, we cannot ignore them. Secondly, thinking you're going to make the problem worse by talking about it would be not enough. Finally, not taking the child seriously if they're expressing signs and symptoms would be not enough. So what is just right? Having conversations with students to help them understand that if they say the words, "I want to kill myself," this is a serious and scary statement that teachers and staff members will always take seriously. Whenever we hear the words, we need to address it in some way. We need to give students power by helping them learn new ways of expressing themselves and coping. If you hear a student mention suicide or dying directly, ways that you can respond are to say, "That is a very serious thing to say. Let's see if we can ask for help from someone who knows more about this." Then take the student to see the school counselor, social worker, or nurse. Or if you do not know the student and don't feel comfortable talking with them, but you hear them say something like this, please make a counselor, social worker, nurse, or administrator aware of your concerns immediately. Our action plan is 3 steps. If you know the student, have a quick conversation with him or her. You can let the child know you notice them and that you care about them. 2, refer or bring the student to the counselor, social worker, nurse, or administrator. If this happens, please know that the staff member you referred to will use the Parkway Suicide Screening Tool to determine if the student needs an additional outside assessment. The school counselor will call home to be sure the parent is aware of our concerns. Step number 3, follow up with the school staff member who you told to see how the student is doing. This topic can bring up a lot for people, especially if we know someone who has died by suicide. If you would like to seek counseling, eligible Parkway employees are eligible for the Employee Assistance Program, which offers several free sessions with a counselor. Additionally, you are also welcome to reach out to a Parkway counselor, social worker, or nurse to find other resources. Please don't feel that you have to handle any of this alone. Thank you for watching this training and for helping to keep our students safe.